Carriers of all modes have been clear that after years of downward pressure on rates, they've got to boost revenues. So where will rates be going in the year ahead?
I guess a couple things. So you heard Don and Walter talking about the transportation industry from an economic point of view. I think there will be a request coming. I'm trying to dance around the question, as you can see, but all kidding aside, I think all of my colleagues up here will be looking to really get those rates up, to get profit margins and rates up themselves. From a Walmart perspective, I mean, we're pretty much locked in with our agreements for another year. We do go through a bid process every few years. But really, at the end of the day, it comes back to reliability. So a fair price for service at an agreed upon level of service and reliability. I think that the market will ultimately dictate what the carriers can get, and if they're providing that level of service to the customers, then and for those shippers in those negotiations, then they do have some opportunity to get those rates. But in my mind, they're absolutely interconnected. You can't come requesting a price increase without increasing the level of service and reliability to the network.
When carriers come in for a rate increase, what do shippers want to see them address?
So I guess there's three things for me that are absolutely interconnected. The first one is safety. Safety, I think, is paramount in all of our businesses, whether it's on the retail shop floor or in the transportation sector. We talked about reliability, and that's the things that keep me up at night with respect to level of service to our stores, to our DCs, and price. So the three of those are absolutely interconnected. So whether it's a carrier or a shipper that's entering negotiations, whether it's for actual movements of freight or simply a rate negotiation, the volumes that a shipper is moving are, in my mind, are absolutely tied to those three things. And if a carrier comes into Walmart as an example and says we need to increase your prices, typically the first response is, first response after a scowl is really what, going back to those three, all kidding aside, it's going back to those three things and saying if one of them moves, so if you need a higher price to be able to move that freight, then we expect to see obviously some increases in reliability. What's changed in the network in order for us to provide an increased level of service to our stores and our customers? And what has happened with respect to safety? What are you doing with respect to fleet efficiency, fuel efficiency, those types of things? And they're all intrinsically linked. So if a carrier enters a negotiation simply with opening up with that they need a price increase, it becomes a very short conversation in the absence of those other things.
That's a common response from a shipper, and that's the problem from a carrier perspective, because you squeeze it so far, and at some point there isn't any more juice coming out of the lemon or the orange. Like we're kind of there in the industry. Like whether it's the marine industry, they're just hemorrhaging dollars. I mean, the ships, the airline industry, bad. It's right across the board, and to that extent, I think at some point it's like when you're going for a wage review. I mean, do I sit to our staff and say, well, if you want a wage increase, but you got to work longer, we need you to be more efficient? I mean, yeah, you try to do that, but at the end of the day, costs are going up for everybody. That's the inflation that we're seeing. They're printing more dollars now in the U.S. with this quantitative easing. I mean, there's no easy solution to it, and that's the problem. I think that's why we're all sitting here. But in my opinion, there's gonna have to be some cost increases. However, it's really difficult, and that's why I keep on getting back to providing the service, so at least a customer like a Walmart can then say, well, we're getting the best service, and we can justify paying more, because otherwise it's going to be a really tough fight. And it is a tough fight, and it's not going to get any easier, I don't think.